We're here today with Ms. Dr. Lisa Concilio from San Diego State in San Diego. And we've been friends for over, 15 years, something like that. But, what I've realized over time is that we all change one way or the other, no matter what it is and what we're going through. And Lisa today has gone, or in the past few years, has gone through a lot of change. And so we're just going to talk about how physical and spiritual and stress changes you. And it changes you for the better. So today, let's talk with Lisa and tell me how your change has helped you to grow as a professor, a teacher, and instructor.
I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed is how to try to stay humble, because no matter what goal I try to achieve, I always find myself still working on the same issues that bring me discontent and make me upset. And no matter how much smarter I get, I have to learn about myself more each time I change and what I need to let go of. And pruning those areas in my life has been hard. Pruning those areas in my mind, it's definitely a mindset, because you have to change who you are as you grow, as you get older, as time passes. People leave you, whether it be friends, family, death, divorce, and you have to start to understand what's best for me now. And changing those ideals, because as Americans, we have these big ideals and keep thinking, if I just get that, I'll be happier. If I just buy my Tesla, I'll be happier. If I just have a bigger bank account, I'll be happier. And ultimately, I'll reach those goals, and there's inflation and there's more taxes. And I find myself working so hard and never achieving happiness. It's hard work. It's hard work.
So what is the solution then? How do you feel? What do you feel grounds you then? What is the grounding cord that brings you back to who you are and in a balanced, healthy way?
It's a big question. I think the biggest thing for me is to remember, what am I serving in the moment? Am I serving my want? Am I serving my need? And those are two different things, because what I need isn't necessarily what I want. And many times when I get what I want,
oh, okay.
And
that's
really
good information.
And I have to remember that every time I think, oh, but I want that so badly.
Yeah.
I want everyone who is my student to get A's. A students sometimes aren't the best learners. They're not great at the job. They just know how to take a test. And so ultimately, if I know that in my heart, but I want people to measure my teaching effectiveness by how many people I get A's, I'm not a good teacher, because I'm teaching them how to take a test. I'm not actually teaching them how to be a professional. And so and just what I told you when we began talking about humility, the learner has to be humble enough to understand that their grades are not as meaningful as the development of their growth, and everybody's on a different trajectory. So grades are truly meaningless, and we have to set a standard. And I understand that, but it should be pass fail, and you should be able to get your C and feel good about it.
So those are interesting concepts, because it seems to me like it's such a competitive world today about, as far as the educational system and this number of grade and grade average and all these different points to get into a specific college or whatever. They have an effect, but if that's all we're basing everything on, then what's really happening?
You're a consumer of your own grade. You're a consumer of a system that doesn't grade you based on your value, but just a herd of how better am I than you based on my grade. And it does not say that you're a caring individual. So I think it's a fake system. It's a conventional system to keep people paid and not really. It's very hard to be a value-based education. It's very hard to be value-based. It's easier to be quantitatively and just put a number on you and decide if you're better than someone else. It's easier. It takes less people to discern. And ultimately, it doesn't show me that you are good at doing hard things. It just shows me that you can get through that moment in time.
Well, because, and we're also talking about nurses, because, nursing school is a very difficult thing. I did go through it. I took the NCLEX for the LPN, not the RN, but I also did this at 50 years old instead of, 20 years old. So it was definitely a different time for me, and, doing that at a different age than most people would do it. But I think the learning is still the same. You still have to go through a specific amount of material and be able to absorb it in a way that is comprehension, that you can comprehend it, and also be able to remember it in a way that works and actually makes sense,
And apply it to different populations, right?
and apply it to a real patient.
And who's never going to be the same. No patient is ever the same. So you
That's
have
a
to be
constant change.
but it's kind of like trying to hit an arrow through 5 moving targets at once. That's what nursing is, because you cannot base one solution for every patient. You always have to say, is this the right thing for my patient? Who else should I talk to make sure I'm making the right decision? How can I advise someone based on their personal needs, their thoughts, their feelings, their culture, their beliefs? So it's a very dynamic and overwhelming field, but with enough coaching and mentoring, past the test, past the content, you really have to have the draw to want to do better every day, because you're constantly going to grow, you're constantly going to change, and it takes emotional work. It can burn you out. It can burn you out because you're never going to be at the pinnacle of being the best unless you're humble enough to realize every day you're going to have to grow. And growth is difficult. Growth is uncomfortable. Growth is hard.
Yes, it is. And being resilient, because one of the things that I realized with Lisa, Dr. Lisa here over the years, is that her research has been in resilience. And I think one of the important things about that is to know that, you know, whether we're going through depression, anxiety, whether we're having stress on the job, because, you know, nurses are there's a system already in place when you go into any hospital or college that is based on a specific seniority level. It's very military based, actually. And that's how the nursing is actually done. It's called triage. That's a very basic thing from the military.